Right, we can start chapter 4 now. Pull up the slides. So, you remember from the first chapter, we had two types of strategies. We basically discussed what is business level strategy, what is corporate level strategy. Do you remember? Remember the difference? Anybody? What is business level? What is corporate level? Just read it like 4 days ago. Business level is when a particular firm is only in one product market, right? If it has more than one product market, then it needs corporate level strategy, right? So, say if Pepsi sells sodas, but suppose it also starts selling, um, it opens a restaurant chain or FMCG or something. I mean, it does sell some FMCG. And basically, when you have more than one kind of product, then you would need corporate level strategy, right? So, firm can have many strategies, and we are going to study all of these strategies. One firm can have corporate level strategy. Firm can have merger and acquisition strategy. If it is in more than one geographic segment, then it would need international strategy, cooperative strategy. We are going to study all of them, but basically, even the smallest firm, even a small shop, roadside shop, mom and pop shop, or very small kiosk shop, even that will have business level strategy, even if it does not have any of these strategies. If it does not have corporate level strategy, M&A strategy, international strategy, cooperative strategy, but still it should have business level strategy, right? And business level strategy, you can decide whether you want to perform activities differently or you want to perform different activities. What is the difference between the two? Basically, this whole chapter is based on this one statement that either you can perform activities, the same activities that your competitors or rivals are performing, but in a different manner, like cheaper cost, or you can perform different activities from your rivals. You are in the same industry, you are in the same segment, but you are performing activities differently. How? We'll see in this chapter. That is basically the chapter is about, right? So, while firms devise their business level strategies on what is happening in the external environment, it is important that you do not have to conform to that environment. Sometimes, I mean, most of the times you would want to bring the ideas from the external environment or on about what to do, what not to do. But sometimes you can just, the ideas can come from inside the firm as well. And we will see these example when we read the Amazon versus Walmart case as well. But here is one example that Walmart CEO devised a strategy of building large discount department stores, primarily in rural areas where consumers had no access to these type of retailers, and it was considered a, an unconventional step. It was considered that it would be a failure. That why are you building these big retail stores in rural areas? This is not going to work. But he proved them wrong. right? So based on whether you want to do whether you want to do activities differently or you want to do different activities, our business level strategy can be of five types based on those two logics. Either we can fight on cost, or we can compete on different by being different. We can be focused cost leadership, we can have focused differentiation and strategy, or a mix of both. We are going to see all these five in a few minutes. But first, let us understand a few terms. So, have you heard this term before? Omnichannel, supply chain measures, maybe, or somewhere else. Hmm? Can you give an idea to others who were not familiar with the term? I see some heads nodding. You can, can,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
I went
Alexa.
from my intro to supply chain class, but it's basically just giving consumers the ability to either browse online and pick up in store or um, browse in store and then order online. And it
Exactly.
basically just allows them to be able to flow through the different channels of purchasing.
Right, correct. So basically, interacting with the customers through all available channels, right? Be it offline, be it online. Even in online, multiple channels. You have social media, you have email, you have advertisement on websites and all. So basically, interact with them on all platforms and consistently remind them of your presence, right? So you might see on Instagram, sometimes you see advertisements of something, either a person or a company's advertisement or a restaurant's advertisement, but they do not have a page on Instagram. They do not have presence on Instagram, but they still show the ad so that when you click on it, you directly go to their website. Or if they have a page, you can just click on that. You do not necessarily have to open Uber Eats or DoorDash. You can just click on that link and it will straight away take you to their website or ordering cart. And if even if you do not order, even if you just browse their website or just explore what all options they have, but if you have mentioned your email in the in their tab, you will start seeing their advertisement on your email. Or even without that, sometimes you see advertisement. Even if you click on something, you see advertisement. So that is omnichannel retail. And what I'm surprised is that um, sometimes I look up something on Google, like say I'm planning to go to say Atlantic City, and I'm searching up some amusement park in Atlantic City on Google, and I would start seeing their advertisements on Instagram, which was very mind blowing because Google and Meta are two different firms, and they're kind of not exactly competitors, but I mean they're different firms, but they're also sharing data with each other. Like it happened within minutes. I was searching something about Atlantic City, and I instantly started seeing advertisement on my social media regarding Atlantic City, and it must have happened with you guys as well many a times, right? Even audio, you speak something on phone and you start seeing its advertisements on Google and social media, right? So basically, omni-channel retail is connecting with customers through different channels. It is becoming more and more important nowadays. And when it comes to relationship with customers, we can define the relationship in three terms: reach, richness, and affiliation. Now, reach is quite straightforward, that how many customers you are reaching, right? You want to reach maximum number of customers, right? So that is reach. Richness is basically what is the flow of information between you and the customers. So say take the example of Amazon. Amazon has probably one of the most rich relationship with the customers, because you have thousands of reviews of every product on the website, and even the product description is very detailed. So Amazon also gets to know what customers are thinking about a particular product. Other customers also get to know what the users who have used the product already, what they have to say about the product. And because the description of product is so detailed, customers also know, like, they can like see the color, the feel, how it's going to look, how it's going to work, what are all the specifications, if it's an electronic product, all the specifications in detail, then comparisons with other products simultaneously below, right? So the information flow is very rich on both sides in case of Amazon, right? Affiliation is basically it's kind of like how we use the term affiliate in general language. Like, are you affiliated to this? How much affiliation do you feel with your university, or with, if I am an Apple user, how much affiliation do I feel with Apple? Or I'm an Android user, how much affiliation do I feel? Basically, how much customers talk about you and your product and want to talk about you and your product, which promotes useful interaction. So when we reach Trader Joe's case, we will see that Trader Joe's customers they feel a very strong affiliation with Trader Joe's. Like, they like to use its products, they like to talk about its products all the time. Even when Trader Joe's did not have an online presence, its fans, its users were making videos about it. They had fan pages, and there was constant uh, chatter about it, and those interactions with customers make the relationship richer. Like, it shows that how much uh, the customers feel strongly about you. So something similar to that. So it helps, the affiliation basically helps view the world through the customer's eyes, and you get to know what they like about your products and what they do not like about your products, right? So that is uh, the affiliation. Then, while devising a business level strategy, we first should be very clear about who we are going to serve, then what are the needs of those customers, and how we are going to serve, right? So who we can divide our market segment into two categories: consumer markets and industrial markets. So consumer markets can be, we can categorize them on the basis of demography, Gen X, Gen Z, Alpha, whatnot, millennials, socioeconomic factors, geographic factors, psychological factors, consumption pattern. So young generation would generally consume more, older generation consumes less, perceptual factors. And then industrial markets, based on technological difference, like electronics, or automobiles and all. And then there is something called SIC codes or Nikes codes. Have you heard this term before? Like, accounting major or finance major, you might have come across this. Hmm? Are you familiar with these codes? What is SIC code, Nikes code? No? So it's basically a government based classification. Like, because governments have to, categorize and codify all the firms. And sometimes firms have multiple codes, like a firm could be both in construction sector as well as mining sector, depending on its product, right? So this classification is used for various purposes, even for research purposes. Like if you decide to pursue masters or PhD, you would do a lot of research using these codes, like which sector sees more M&As, which sector sees less M&As, those kind of things, right? If you decide to pursue a PhD in finance or maybe accounting. So these firms have 6 or 7 digit codes, and it could be like uh, automobile sector. Automobile sector can have four wheelers, it can have motorbikes, it can have e-scooters or bikes, further classification. And then within four wheelers, you can have gas cars and electric cars as different categories, right? For a more micro, a more niche classification. So, like for example, this utilities, but within utilities, it can be electric power generation, and then within electric power generation, you can be solar electric power generation. So that is also a way of classifying your customers and end use segments in industrial markets. Then what? Now, so we understood who we are going to serve. Now we have to decide what do our customers want. So if we have good richness and affiliation with our customers, we consistently get feedback from customers, then we would know what they actually want, right? For example, uh, Kroger's feels that its customers want faster deliveries. So it has been working with Instacart to provide faster deliveries, right? So what is probably the most important of the three? Like we should know what exactly our customers want. Then what exactly is a business model? So what a firm does to create, deliver, and capture value for its stakeholders. So you remember capturing value? We saw this last week, right? C is the cost price, P is the selling price, and this is capturing value, right? I gave example of using phone, that if I feel that my phone gives me $30 worth of value every day, then in 2 years I can create $8,000 worth of value through my phone. So even if I pay $1,500 for my phone, I'm still getting $6,500 worth of value, right? So creating value for customers, right? That is basically the business model. And it creates value for stakeholders through, like uh, stakeholders, we know there are various stakeholders for a firm: customers, employees, society, I mean the community in which it's operating, so on and so forth. So for shareholders, the business creates value through share value, right? The higher the share value rises, the more value it creates for shareholders. And for employees, it creates value through, one is of course compensation and benefits, but also you get to learn in the firm, you develop new skills, and then you can switch. You can apply to a new job, to a different firm, and get higher compensation. So that is also creating value through imparting skills to the employees, right? So yeah, you can create value for customers through like the how part. So how are you going to create value? You can create value through cheaper price, more convenience, innovation, basically using your core competencies. Then different kinds of business models. So we are familiar with many of these already, like freemium model. Freemium is it would provide a basic version for free, but if you want a premium version, you would have to take the premium membership. So I guess it's a very common, pretty probably the most common type of business model, like YouTube. YouTube is also freemium. You can use YouTube for free, but then you will have to see ad every 2 minutes, and you cannot play a lot of videos in the background if you're using some other app, right? But if you want a premium version without ads and the ability to watch videos while using some other app, then you will have to take the premium version, right? Amazon Prime, uh, Netflix also has this kind of option, right? Dropbox, Adobe, all these are freemium version, right? Uh, Advertising model. Actually, so there would be a overlap in these models, right? So you can say that, oh, uh, advertising model. So YouTube is also advertising model because it's giving advertisement in its free model, free version, right? Or traditional television networks. Uh, no, actually, no. YouTube would not be advertising. YouTube would only be freemium. Yes, advertising is when you are basically not paying anything for using the services. So only traditional TV networks would be advertisement, and Pinterest would be advertisement. So how do these they earn revenues? So there is a quote in Social Dilemma. Uh, Social Dilemma is a Social Dilemma is the name. Yeah, Social Dilemma is the name of a documentary on Netflix released in 2020, where the person says that if you're not paying for the product, then you are the product, right? So television networks and Pinterest and all those who are providing services for free, but only through advertisements, then they are basically using your likes, your you know watching habits and all, your traits, basically customer traits, to other firms which are advertisers, and they are earning through that. So that is their revenue model, right? Then peer-to-peer model would be when the platform basically connects uh, users to service providers, those who seek service to those who provide service. Like Uber is also peer-to-peer, like Airbnb is peer-to-peer, TaskRabbit is peer-to-peer. Then Uber is also, we can say, peer-to-peer, right? Basically connecting those who want cab to the cab providers, right? Then franchisee model, which industries is franchisee model the most prevalent? It's generally prevalent in
Restaurants.
restaurants. Yes, yes, restaurants, Ethan, right? And I guess hotels as well, right? Subscription model, so it's pretty much like a freemium model, right? Subscription model, you have to take subscription if you want the better version of the product or service. Digital platform model. Then what is the difference between franchising and licensing? Or what is the difference between franchisee and subsidiary? So franchising, if you would see, if you would observe, it's mostly present in service-based industries. So uh, the franchisor is has more control because it's more subjective. There is more subjectivity in service-based industry. So there's more control. While licensing is mostly present in product-based industry, not product-based rather than service-based. So there's less control because there is less subjectivity. And franchisee and subsidiary, basically franchisees, you gave somebody the right to use your brand name and your product, right? Uh, but subsidiary is like a wholly owned, mostly wholly owned. Sometimes you may have less than 100% ownership as well, but mostly wholly owned uh, branch or arm of the same company in some other place, in some other country. Like McDonald's is US based firm, but McDonald's Philippines would be most likely. Uh, no, McDonald's is a wrong example because it's a restaurant industry, so it would be franchisee. But say Google, Google or Microsoft. So Google is US based company, but Google China or Google actually again Google is not in China, but Google Philippines, so Google India would be a wholly owned subsidiary. It would be an independent legal firm. It would be registered there, but it would be 100% owned by the US parent firm. They would send the employees to, on site in India or Philippines, and there would be constant information sharing, even revenue sharing would be there. Well, franchising and licensing would have much less interaction as compared to subsidiary. Once you have given the right to use your name and brand, then there would be less interference. There would be more independence and liberty to the local owners as to how they want to conduct the operations. They would just give monthly, whatever in the contract is, monthly share, monthly revenue, fixed revenue. They would just send that to the franchisor, but uh, in the wholly owned subsidiary, they can use 100% revenues from their international arm. So those are the minute differences. Well, we sometimes use them sometimes we use these terms interchangeably in regular lingo, but there are differences in these terms. Coming to the strategies now, business level strategies. So differentiation strategy is when you want to do the tasks differently. So in the beginning, we saw whether you want to do the same task uh, in a different manner or you want to do different tasks, right? So in differentiation strategies, you want to do different tasks, and because you are doing different tasks, you can charge higher price, right? Like Apple charges higher price on the basis that it claims that its products are more innovative and more user friendly than other products. Or you can do the same things as what your competitors are doing, but at a lower cost. So basically, you are fighting more on operational efficiency, which we remember from Michael Porter's article, rather than having a unique positioning, right? But even in operational efficiency or even in low cost strategies, some level of differentiation is still necessary. Otherwise, your product would become completely substitutable by other products. Because if there is no difference with your rivals, if your products have no difference with your rivals, then you, like when I go to buy bread, I literally pick up any brand, right? If I feel that the bread is almost the same. So uh, it would be easily substitutable. So take this example of hotel industry. Four Seasons commands high cost because it has much higher differentiation. Marriott commands lower cost because it has lower level of differentiation. Starboard is somewhere in between. But if you want both lower cost and low differentiation, then you won't be competitive at all. You would be easily substitutable and you would not be viable, right? You cannot have both lower cost and low differentiation. So the average competitor in your industry would have some cost price and some selling price. If you are differentiating, then you would need more money to produce a more unique product. So your cost price would be a little higher than industry average. But because your product is unique, so you can also charge higher price for your product, right? But if you are competing on low cost leadership, then of course you should have lower cost price for producing the product. But then you are also gonna charge a lower price for your product, right? And if you want to use both the strategies, both differentiation as well as low cost, then you would be somewhere in between, both in terms of cost price, you would be somewhere in between the two, and both in the and also your selling price, somewhere in between the two. Now, research shows us that if you want to compete on cost leadership, if you want to compete on the basis of price, cutting price, then the part of the value chain where you can cut the maximum amount of cost is logistics, inward and outbound logistics. So there are several activities in value chain, right? Marketing and sales, employees, production like operations on the product, right? Factory and all. So there are several activities that we saw in the previous chapter in the value chain. But research shows that inbound and outbound logistics are the part of the value chain where you can cut the maximum amount of cost. So, if you want a competitive edge in cost leadership, then you should focus on logistics, right? And that is why, um, to cut the costs, sometimes these firms outsource because you know the logistics is cheaper in other parts of the world. Let's see an example of cost leadership. Here's the option to turn on the sound. Yeah, now.
Impersonate you.
They have a voice cloned daughter screaming in the background.
This is the golden age of scamming.
The new battlefield is online, and you are the target.
It's time to learn how to fight back. This is Control Room.
You can hear the video.
It took
Right?
discount retail app Temu a year to get to 51 million monthly active users in the US. That's approaching the 67 million user base that Amazon spent decades building. Temu gained ground by selling cheap goods shipped from China, like this $20 coat or $9 stainless steel water bottle, and it's positioning itself to be a bigger player in the US e-commerce landscape.
Anybody who's not Amazon is the short answer of who should be worried.
Here's how a one-year-old brand is keeping the e-commerce industry on watch, and how, just like Amazon, it's redefining what it means to shop online.
If you are an internet user, you'll see Temu everywhere.
In just over a year, the retailer has flooded social feeds with curious consumers.
Is Temu a scam?
She's a serial Temu user.
I guess I'm known as a Temu girl now.
It aired ads at back-to-back Super Bowls and stirred up debate on how to even pronounce the name.
They're freaking gaslighting you. The name of the company is Temu, not Temu.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I'll ever say Temu.
For the record, the company confirmed it's now Temu. That confusion hasn't slowed the company down. It quickly acquired over 161 million monthly app users across the world.
It's pretty extraordinary. It's a speed of adoption we really haven't seen in the past online.
When I first wrote about Temu, we reported that it launched very quietly, and now Temu is the opposite of being quiet.
That omnipresence is by design. It spent $1.7 billion to advertise in 2023, and JP Morgan analysts estimate that Temu could spend nearly $3 billion in 2024. It can spend that big thanks to the deep pockets of its parent company, Pinduoduo, or PDD, the Chinese e-commerce company raking in billions annually.
PDD Holdings emerged out of nowhere when China's e-commerce industry was already dominated by two companies, Alibaba and JD.com.
So Temu's strategy of selling extremely cheap goods from China to build market share isn't entirely new.
They're just hoping to replicate its strategies that worked very well in China.
Other China-founded companies like Shein and TikTok are also making their mark in US e-commerce. But Temu sets itself apart in how it gamifies shopping online.
You open up the app and there's like a roulette wheel that you spin and you get a prize, and the prize is usually, here's a whole bunch of, dollars to go buy stuff. And then as you're searching through products, first off, you're amazed at how low the prices are, and then you see a ticker of how much time is left before, this offer expires or before they're sold out of that product.
That strategy has paid off. Temu amassed more users in 6 months than Shein has in 8 years. Research firm AllianceBernstein estimates that $17 billion worth of goods were sold on Temu in 2023. That helped boost PDD's market value 74%, allowing it to briefly overtake Alibaba as China's most valuable e-commerce company. In the US, Temu's growth is putting e-commerce giants on watch.
Temu and Shein's success tells us that consumers are willing to wait as long as the products are really cheap.
Temu says its standard shipping takes 6 to 22 days, while express shipping is 4 to 11 days.
Temu connects factories and wholesalers with consumers directly, cutting the middleman.
Meanwhile, the biggest e-commerce companies in the US have been betting big on faster delivery. Amazon's delivery time has more than halved since 2022 to less than 2 days on average. Other retailers are catching up, with an average of about 4.6 days in January. As Amazon sets the standard on speed and Temu takes on price,
Expect price to get more competitive. Everybody needs to focus in the e-commerce space about making sure that they've got a distinctive value proposition that appeals to a consumer, and not just the first time around, but has them coming back, for more.
For now, Amazon's hold on the industry is still ironclad, but the e-commerce giant has made some changes. In late 2023, Amazon announced it would reduce the fees it charges sellers for clothing under $20.
Some analysts believe that Amazon's move shows it's worried about losing suppliers as well as consumers to other platforms.
In a statement, an Amazon spokesperson said that the company reduced the referral fee to help drive and incentivize even greater selection for customers and competitive prices. But it's not just cheap prices and seller fees that's putting pressure on other companies.
Download the Temu app and shop like a billionaire.
It's driving up digital ad costs. That means it's more expensive for everybody in the space to acquire new users.
There's no question that that Temu and Shein are having an impact in the market. I think those two players are almost single-handedly having an impact on the cost of advertising.
Those digital ads are especially important for e-commerce companies.
They need to be there on social media, making sure that they're right in front of the consumer to either purchase or to download the app whenever they're in a mood to go buy something or they're more intentional.
It's like a game of chicken, and for companies like Etsy that are not growing as fast as Temu, they cannot keep up with this level of ad spending at all.
An Etsy spokesperson said that the company is seeing a strong return on investment for its marketing costs, and the Etsy marketplace is profitable. That's the short-term threat Temu poses to its competitors. But in the long term,
what it's done is that it's actually changed or is changing the economics of what it means to run an e-commerce business. The existing incumbents in the global e-commerce landscape aren't just going to lie down and say, well, I guess we've lost the sale. They're going to have to make some hard decisions on whether they're okay to maintain that with lower sales volume or whether they want to be more aggressive in acquiring consumers and retaining those consumers.
But some analysts say Temu's stratospheric growth isn't sustainable. A Morgan Stanley report noted that the company's momentum is cresting.
So what we really now need to see is, can they drive that repeat purchasing behavior? And that's still very much an open-ended question.
Still, Temu has cash to burn.
It's willing to lose money to exchange for market share to acquire users.
Analysts estimate the company lost about $7 per order in 2023. In a statement, Temu said that its business model boosts efficiency and that the idea that Temu sells at a loss to gain market share is simply not true. But with explosive growth comes more eyes on the company and more controversy.
That junk was trash. The sizing is off. It literally looked like the pattern that I asked for was printed on it. I think only one thing actually looked like what I ordered. Everything else was trash.
Consumers have been concerned about the product safety and quality. I think selling really cheap products is the first step for Temu to acquire users.
Temu said in a statement that it works closely with our independent sellers to ensure that their products meet the required standards. And the U.S. government is already watching the fledgling company thanks to its Chinese ties. A 2023 report from a congressional commission called out Temu for concerns around data risks, exploiting trade loopholes, and use of forced labor. The company says that in regards to the trade loopholes, it is open to and supportive of any policy adjustments made by legislators that align with consumer interests. It added that it considers privacy and security to be core functions of the platform, and that it's committed to ethical labor practices. But the company is still primed to keep growing.
I think that's what Temu, Shein, TikTok are really going to bring to the marketplace. Is they're going to force everybody to level up their game, and we're going to see who's
How many of you guys have used Temu? Nobody?
I use it.
Yeah, I guess most of you must have used it, right? One of my friends told me that it's so competitive that if you uh, um like go back to the app and say that you haven't received the order when it says the order delivered, and if you claim that you haven't received the order, it won't even ask for proof. It would just straight away give you the refund. So many people have been misusing that feature several times. Like they get the product, but they still claim refund because, as it said, that Temu is ready to burn cash in order to get market share. So that is what it is doing. Anyway, moving forward, cost leadership in Ford's five forces. So, yeah, one thing that I mentioned last week was social capital, right? We were talking about social capital, and I mentioned that how guanxi is the term used in China, that you have social capital, you have good relations with government and society and stakeholders. Basically, you first build the informal relations and then you proceed to business. So that is mentioned here. And richness and affiliation. So uh, Amazon, I already said this, Amazon is so good and successful because the richness and affiliation is really strong. Customers know what to expect when they buy a product, and Amazon consistently knows and does research on what customers are talking about the products on the website, right? On reviews and all, and also through other means, other channels, right? Then cost leadership, uh, outsourcing. So because we saw in the video, and research also tells us that if you cut costs on logistics, then you can cut the maximum amount of cost in your value chain. So that is why outsourcing takes place, because um logistics as well as operations are much cheaper in some other parts of the world. Like, for example, this chart shows what is the cost of electricity for industrial users, that is for industrial firms. And we see that most of the Western countries have pretty high, especially European countries have pretty high cost. Even countries like Thailand and India have higher costs than, US. But China, of course, the manufacturing hub of the world, has the lowest cost uh, amongst all these major countries for industrial users, and that is why so much outsourcing goes to China. So cost leadership and the five forces. So if so, rivalry with existing customers, that is the most important force of the Michael Porter's forces, right? So now, if all the firms in the industry are only competing on the basis of cost and no differentiation at all, they are not even trying to be different from each other, no unique positioning, then what will happen? It would be just a race to the bottom. No firm is gonna win, right? Like what is happening in India between Amazon and uh, Flipkart, right? Flipkart slash Walmart, right? And bargaining power of buyers. So if you are a cost leadership firm, that is, you have very low cost, very inexpensive products, then buyers do not have a lot of bargaining power because your products are already cheap. How far low you can go further, right? Bargaining power of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers is also not very high because generally these firms buy in bulk when when you are competing on cost leadership, then you would generally place your order with very high number of products because you target the lower middle class and lower strata of the society. So you place a very high order in bulk. So suppliers do not have very high bargaining power, and yeah, so high volume is basically the reason. Potential entrants. Now, for a new firm to enter an industry which is very competitive on the basis of cost, it would be very tough because to become a cost leader, you should have economies of scale. And for a new firm to have that economies of scale is not possible, right? Product substitutes. Product substitute, yeah, cost leadership is a deterrent against substitute. But also, if all the firms start competing only on the basis of cost, then you become substitutable because there is not much of a difference between the products of different firms. So you can, those of products start becoming identical. Hence, they can become they can be substituted, right? Risk of cost leadership strategy. What could be the risk? That if you start cutting costs too much, then it can compromise with your quality. Like, for example, at Walmart, some people feel that there are too few salespeople available to help customers. So that could be a downside or side effect of the cost leadership strategy, that it should not compromise with your quality. Differentiation strategy. Differentiation strategy is like Apple iPhones, they pursue differentiation strategy. Like, they have different operating system, they have a completely different ecosystem, and consumers are less sensitive to prices. They are ready to pay a higher price because they are buying the product for the uniqueness of it rather than its cheap price, right? That is the case with Apple products, right? So the firms compete on loyalty to the brand, right? So what are the Potter's five forces in case of differentiation strategy? Suppliers uh, do not have, I mean, suppliers have some kind of bargaining power because they are supplying unique components. But even if they charge a higher price to the firm, firms are ready to pay higher price because they can pass on the price, pass on the addition to the customers because their customers are less sensitive to the price, right? And they have higher margins, right? So either they can absorb, either the firm can absorb the increase in cost price by the suppliers, or they can pass on the increase to the customers because customers are ready to pay higher price for the unique product, right? Same is with buyer, bargaining power of buyer, because buyers are not really buying your product for the price, they are buying for the unique positioning that you have, the differentiated product that you are offering, right? Potential entrants. Now, this is very interesting. So, if a new firm has to enter an industry, it should try to enter as a differentiated firm rather than a cost leadership firm because uh, research shows that when you experiment as a new entrant, entering as a differentiated product can give you a little foothold. That is, people might show interest in buying your products because they see you as a new firm, a unique firm, and there is less chances of failure or lower level of loss of finances as compared to a cost leadership strategy. So, if you want to enter an industry directly with a cost leadership strategy, there is higher chance of failure because you won't be able to compete with the already very low prices of the industry because you need economies of scale, right? Other firms are selling, say, 1 million products a month or 2 million products a month. And if you are a new firm, you do not have, people do not recognize you much, and it's very difficult to sell that number. So rather enter as a differentiated firm, and your potential loss would be lower, while the chances of gaining a foothold would be higher than in case of a low cost strategy. Product substitute in case of differentiation is less threat of substitute because the firms are competing with each other on uniqueness of their product rather than cost leadership, right? So, like, I have not been an Apple user for most of my life. not most actually, the whole of my life, right? So it's very hard. So whenever I use my friends' iPhones or MacBook, I find it difficult. So there is a hesitation uh, to switch to Apple products. Same with the Apple products for Android users. They would not easily switch to Android or Windows, right? So the threat of potential entrant and the threat of product substitutes both are low in case of differentiation strategy, right? Now, what about focus strategy? Focus is when you are pursuing one of the low cost leadership or differentiation strategy, but you are also focused on a particular segment of customers. Do you remember variety based positioning from Porter's strategy article, Jiffy Lube, right? So, somewhat similar to that. So, you can be focused on a particular demography, you can be focused on a particular product line, particular geographic market, a certain technology. Now, what is the risk of focus strategy? Like the example of Jiffy Lubes. What was Jiffy Lube? Do you remember Jiffy Lube? What was Jiffy Lube doing in Michael Porter's strategy article?
It focused only on like oil changes and other like lubricant other than general mechanic work and allowed competitors to do the other mechanic work.
Right, correct. So, what is the risk with that strategy? That um, that either the broader industry may begin to focus on the targeted segment, that is the general servicing industry of automobiles. One day they might think that, oh, let me also, this Jiffy Lube is taking our market for lubricants. Let us all get together and start focusing on making good lubricants as well, so that our customers don't have to go to Jiffy Lubes solely or only for the lubricant purpose. They can get all the servicing done here at our store, and Jiffy Lubes would be kicked out of the market. That means the broader industry may begin to focus on the targeted segment, or the preferences of the target group may evolve over time to match those of the broader industry. That is, suppose the people who were till now using Jiffy Lubes, they were getting their servicing done at a store, but solely for lubricants, they were going to Jiffy Lubes. Suddenly, they start thinking that, oh, why go separately to Jiffy Lubes? Why not get all of our servicing done at a single servicing center, and you know the avoid the hassle of going to Jiffy Lube solely for the lubricant purpose. So the preferences of the target group may evolve over time to match those of the broader industry. So that is the risk of focus strategy. Do you follow? Right? So that is the risk. Because of course, niche things have risks, their own risks, right? You are niche. So that is the risk attached with you. If I am talking about, if I am a management scholar, I start making videos, but I'm only talking about accounting, or I'm only talking about finance. I'm not talking about organizational behavior, HR, or strategy, you know, then, I would have lower customers and there would be risk of going out of the business. My target segment is very narrow. So, what are examples of focus strategy? So, like IKEA has focused cost leadership strategy. So, it has cost leadership, but it also focuses on youth, young buyers who want style at a low cost. So, that is why uh, it has focused cost leadership. But as we have mentioned, that even your cost leadership strategy should have some minimum amount of differentiation. If you have absolutely no differentiation, absolutely nothing unique about you, then you would not be able to appeal to customers. So, despite it has focus cost leadership, it still provides some uniqueness, like furniture designs and in store playrooms for children or wheelchair use. Then focus differentiation strategy. Goya Foods. Have you guys used Goya Foods? Right? I like their chickpeas a lot. They're pretty good products. Right? So, what is their strategy? They are focused on Hispanic community, Hispanic customers. They get products from Mexico, Spain, the whole South America, Central America, right? So they are differentiating on the basis of good quality food, but they are focused on a particular segment, niche segment. So they do not have industry-wide competitive advantage. Not everybody might like their food or want to purchase their food, but they are doing well. They are doing great, right? So it's a focus differentiation strategy. But nowadays, we know that most customers want both. They want low cost as well as something unique about their product as well. So the pressure on firms is very high to have both cost leadership as well as differentiation strategy, right? So what firms are doing nowadays, flexible manufacturing systems. What is flexible manufacturing systems? Like, an example is this factory in China, Ford Chang'an factory in Chongqing in China. So, flexible manufacturing system is just like assembly line, assembly line where products are made. Now, if you modify your assembly line in such a manner that you can produce all the models of your cars on a single assembly line, how much money would it save? Like, uh, we can introduce new models within hours simply by configuring the line for production for the next model while still being able to produce the existing models during the introduction of new models. So you can phase out the old models quickly and phase in the new models. Or suppose there is an assembly line uh, where you can make both phones and laptops. Flexible manufacturing system. So you can cut cost as well as you can maintain your quality. So more and more innovations are leading to the integration of both the strategies, differentiation as well as cost leadership. Then total quality management, we are already familiar with this term, where you have to improve quality of everything that goes into production, including accounting, marketing, sales, and not just production of the product. And this thing, that example that I just gave you, that on a single assembly line you can make both phones and laptops. So suppose on a single assembly line, someday you are able to make both cars and laptops. That is called economies of scope. So economies of scale is thing when you increase the number of units, then per unit cost decreases, right? Economies of scope is when you are able to use the same production unit, or the same components for multiple products. So that is an example of economies of scope. So that is how you reduce the cost. You know, it will come again in the next chapters. Then information networks. Have you used Salesforce? Salesforce? Anybody here? Or familiar with what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you please uh, tell our other students what it is?
Um, Kind of says it over here, kind of like a CRM tool, customer relational management tool. I've seen it in like previous internships, but um I can't exactly remember fully what it does. It kind of communicates kind of with companies like for um keeping data within its own platform. Like it's kind of like it holds um like the communication process and the data that businesses um that the businesses have.
So give a very simple basic example or just tell me whether I'm correct or not because I haven't used it, but I'm just trying to make sense of it. Like
Yep.
so on this platform you can see where your logistics is right now. So where your products have reached on the outbound logistics and where your inbound logistics raw materials are, how many people's payrolls have been updated, and how much marketing has been achieved, how many advertisements have we like sent out, all those kind of things in a single place. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
it curates all that data and then it shows it in like visual boards.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make sense of it. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, this is like CSM platform. CSM is customer success management platform. So Salesforce is one of the biggest firms in the world actually for this information networks. Now, total quality management. Uh, so it may seem counterintuitive that firms can reduce costs while increasing quality, but this reduction is accomplished because experience curve and learning curve that we saw, that when a product is produced well, it would require less rework, leads to fewer rejections, fewer customer returns, so less servicing required. So you can actually achieve uh, reduction in cost with simultaneously with increasing quality. But a very important thing to keep in mind is that while firms always try to integrate both cost leadership and differentiation strategy, but do not get stuck in the middle. That is, you cut costs, but you are not able to match the lowest cost offering competitors. So customers who buy just for cost are not buying your product. But because you have cut cost, so you have reduced your differentiation as well. So the products who are buying your product for your uniqueness are not buying it either. So do not get stuck in the middle. It's always better to focus on one strategy than, simultaneously trying to sail both the boats. So this was chapter 4, and um, Southwest reminder for tomorrow. Both submission as well as group 1 and group 2 are presenting 10 to 15 minutes presentation. Try to make it more interactive rather than delving too deep into the history and all. Uh, Mention your views, throw questions to the class. If you can find the updates, what have happened, what has happened with Southwest since the article was written. Um, that would be great because things have happened, especially in the last 2 or 3 years. Southwest has changed its strategies. So some of the things that I mentioned in the article are not true anymore. So yeah, those kind of things. And group 1, I will send you the questions for Kahoot.
Do you want us to submit our PowerPoint slides too, or just the questions?
Do you want to submit the PowerPoint slides? Oh no, you have to submit the the answers in the link as well. That is mandatory for all the 5 groups. But the slides you can just email me, group 1 and group 2. Okay.
And then Professor, um,
Hmm.
so you don't want us to like present the questions you provided and make it more like a
No,
engaged
no,
presentation?
answer the questions. But because just because otherwise you won't be able to make 10 to 15 minutes presentation if you don't answer the questions just with the interaction part, because the students really answer the question that you would throw. So there would be the same regular 3 4 people answering every time. So yeah, answer the questions, but like while answering, like try to mention like, oh, we thought in this way. Our thinking was like uh, this while answering the questions. What did you guys answer? So like there would be a question in, say, Trader Joe's case. uh, Mention one product from their website which you find that portrays their strategy pretty well in the perfect manner. So during the regular semesters, I throw these questions to the class that, what are the different products that people answered. So someone would say, oh, everything but bagel or this or that product. And then they give the reasoning that why did they choose that product to answer. So we want to hear the reasoning and why did you answer this, right? So those kind of questions you can throw to the class for interaction. Yes. Any other questions? Uh, do we have limitations on the number of words? I mean, yeah, not exactly, but like, don't go too. I mean, it saves time for both you and me. Uh, one paragraph is what I say generally. Now, one paragraph could mean different things to different people. Someone would think 4 sentences is one paragraph. For some others, it could be 8 to 10 sentences. But yeah, like generally, like average, like 5 to 6 sentences should be enough to answer a question in most of the cases. But as I mentioned, like some questions might need more lines, like past analysis might need more lines. But yeah, generally one paragraph should be sufficient. 5 to 6 sentences should be enough, more than. For the Southwest and other team assignment, do we all have to submit? No, as long as you write the names of all the people, like if Avish answered question 1, Nina answered question 2, Jeet answered question 3. As long as I know who answered which question, just one person's submission is enough. Not everybody needs to submit. Earlier, I used to keep same points for all the team members. So I don't need, so earlier I did not used to ask names for everyone on each question. Like the purpose of group assignment is how you coordinate with each other, because at the end of the day in the corporate job, the whole team would be rewarded uh, for their teamwork, right? And that is where we all face frictions. We are not able to cooperate with each other properly because some people don't respond or they don't contribute as much as other people. So that was the purpose. So earlier I used to say that if the quality of the one or two answers is not good in the assignment, then whole group, the deduction of points would be for the whole group, for everyone. But that was the issue, that one or two people in the group were not answering properly. They were not contributing properly. They used to write not good answers. So due to them, others used to suffer. That is when I started this thing that write the name in front of each question, so that not so that other people don't get penalized due to one or two people. So yeah, submit. Even in the submission part, still I face problems. There have been issues this fall semester where one girl was fed up of these two people didn't used to write their answers till the last moment. So and they never used to submit from their end. So even that little submission part coordination faces problems, right?
For the slides presentation, about how many slides should we have for each question? Probably like one slide for.
Yeah, yeah, I think one slide, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, objective is that you do not read much from the
Much of
slides.
the slide.
You speak more, right?
Thank you.
All right, if you have more questions, you can stay. Otherwise, you are free to leave and see you tomorrow.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Professor. Have a
Professor.
good
Thank
day.
you.
Good day.
Professor, one quick question.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So for the presentation, so I mean the Southwest case, and for the presentation we're going to do tomorrow, the grade will be counted as the final presentation grade, or there will be one more presentation.
No, the final presentation is on the company that you would select, right? So tomorrow's presentation is not final. So there will be two presentations during the whole semester. One is the case presentation, and one would be final presentation that would be on a form where whatever we will learn throughout the semester, we will apply everything on that firm. So like for that firm, we will give its business level strategy, its corporate level strategy, its M&A strategy, its international strategy, its CSR strategy, so on and so forth. That would be on the final day, the very last day of the semester.
All right, so how many points are gonna come to the final grade for the presentation we're gonna do tomorrow, like the case presentation? Because it didn't shows in the syllabus.
Um, I think the final presentation is
No,
10%, and yeah,
not the final presentation. It's the presentation we're gonna do tomorrow, the case presentation.
I think it's 4 points, I guess 4%, I guess. Yeah, 4.
4?
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
4.
Thank you. All right, good. Thank you.
Mhm.
All
Mhm.
right.
See you.
Hey, Professor.
Professor?
You got it.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I'm
See you.
traveling tomorrow and I might not be able to have my camera on, but I'll still be listening if that's okay.
Okay, you're
I just
not
want to make you
presenting
aware.
tomorrow, right?
No, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Professor,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I had some
Mhm.
internet problems coming in today, so I was a little bit late. I just wanted to let you know. I came in at about 1:20 or 1:30.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
apologize about
keep in
that.
mind. Okay,
Okay.
no problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, see you.
Oh, I have a question. Is like so
Mm,
tomorrow, because I'm in the group one, so we have like Sly, the Simon, and the chapter for Kahoot.
yes.
Okay, yeah, just make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you can give one responsibility to one person, like
Okay.
distribute responsibilities amongst yourself.
See you
Okay?
if you want. I could do the Kahoot.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, see you guys tomorrow.
See you.